Good morning. It is early, and I know that people have been waiting for an update. And I do want to let you know that last night, when the hospital felt like it was asleep, I was able to get onto Facebook, get onto social media, and kind of scroll and look and reflect and learn about people's feelings about Raven and the support that I have for my daughter. I have read multiple comments, multiple posts. I haven't gotten through them all yet. It takes time, and but I will. So that I see a lot of people have been patiently waiting. Thank you. It matters to me. It matters to me. For an update, I'm going to give you one where we're at right now. On the front end, though, I promise not to make this video super long. I do want to get this out of the way. Let's knock this out real quick on the front end of this. When I first made the post update yesterday, in my head, I had gotten a whole lot of text messages, a whole lot of messenger messages, phone calls, my family, our jobs. We had gotten a lot of inquiries and a lot of questions. And in my head, I was going to post an update for people who already knew me, for people who already knew my family, who already knew my daughter, who already knew how we run a household, how we live, how we worship. And so I posted the update, very factual, very in the moment. This is where we are. After reading some of your comments and posts, I understand. I understand the want for the hope factor, the miracle factor. I will tell you this. I think I would try to fight somebody if they told me that they loved Raven more than I do. Nobody wants Raven more than me. Nobody hopes for Raven more than me. Nobody will fight for Raven like I will. And I would love nothing more than to take my daughter to one last pizza night. I would like nothing more than to have her fully restored and fully the 6-year-old that she was, and to proclaim to the ends of the earth that my daughter was brain dead and now she's alive. And nobody wants that more than me. So know that. Trust me. Moving forward. Let's move forward into where we are now. I told you in the last video that there would be 2 tests. It's hard for me because I posted a 4-minute video to catch people up in the moment on something that I had lived through hours of monitoring. We lived minute to minute with Raven. Truly, minute to minute, second to second with Raven. And I had hours of knowledge that I tried to briefly get to the point in 4 minutes on my last video. In doing that, I had told you that there would be 2 tests, brain function tests. They are legal. 24 hours after the accident, they have to do a test. And what I thought was going to be a light shine and eye dilation and push a tube down there, do you cough, do you gag? It was way more extensive than I thought it would be, which is good. Very hard to watch, very hard to be a part of, but that's something that you don't get to choose or think about whenever you become a parent. Let's summarize. If I shine a light in your eye, your brain will tell your eyes to dilate. If I touch your eyeball with a swab or or something on contact, your brain would tell your eye that we don't like that and to move or close or react. If I flush ice cold water into your ear, your brain will tell your eyes to move if your brain had any function. If I mash on something that already is broken, if I test your pain, so I'm gonna go right for something that's broken. Does it hurt? Your brain would tell your body to move, to let the world know that hurt. And if you're on a ventilator, and I take you off a ventilator, and I watch in silence for 10 minutes, if you had any inclination of an attempt to breathe, if you had any chest rise, if you had any struggle, if you had any eye twitch, if you had any attempt, we'd put you right back on a ventilator, and we would say that you had life in your brain. I had the knowledge prior that our test result was going to yield into official brain death. Something that you can't fix. All night previous, Raven had negatives in the amount of blood that was getting to her brain. And we know that if we cannot get blood to our brain cannot live. And our brain will not be the same. I'm proud of Raven, because she gave me a definite answer. She did not respond to anything, not one thing. It would have confused me, I think, if she had done one thing on one part of the test and then nothing on everything else, because then it would have made it really difficult to move forward and to see where we're at. And Raven did nothing. Raven had no response to anything. They called it a failed test, but man, to me, like, she passed it. She made her decision, and she let me know that she's not here. She's not here. By law, we have to repeat that test this morning. So we'll sit in silence for 10 minutes again. And we'll do all the things again. Once I have 2 legal official tests that Raven is brain dead, then they will pronounce my daughter officially dead. We have talked to organ donations, and we have done all the preliminary work. And as soon as we can get these 2 tests legally, then they can do more hands-on with Raven. And by that I mean they'll test her organs, and they'll test everything that they could give away, that she could gift people, is what they call it. And I told people last night, this is my specific prayer these days. It changes from minute to minute, but at this point, if you could help me, or if you ask me what can I do or what can I pray for, this is it. After we test Raven's organs, and we know that she's perfect and she's perfectly capable to give her body away, we then have to find matches. And actually, we would have to have people who needed them, right? So we would have to find somebody who needed lungs. But with Raven's lungs, it couldn't be a 3-month-old baby, and it couldn't be a 57-year-old man. You know, you gotta find a match for that. So once we find matches, then at that point, we would have to fly surgeons in And what I mean by that is not one doctor's probably going to want all of everything that she has to give. They won't need it all. But I might have a doctor in Florida who might need a heart, but I might have a doctor in Washington who might need lungs, and I might have somebody. You get the picture. So I would have to fly all these surgeons in for one surgery here with me and with Raven at the hospital. They would have to have one surgery with all doctors so that we could open Raven, and each person would get what they need, and then they would go home and save lives. It's really hard to make two people's schedules work in real life and daily life. And so I'm asking for prayers on a timely manner where I could get that surgery scheduled with however many personnel that requires to come in from all over. Because my daughter's head is still swelling. We have, death isn't pretty, and we have, blood coming out of our ears, and our eyes are getting bigger. Selfishly, I want to end that, now. And she can't feel it. She can't do anything like that. It's not hurting her. Nothing's hurting her. But it's hard to wait. I'm learning patience, and I'm learning a lot of things. But if you could pray with me that we could have a timely, smooth surgery for organ donation. There's not a lot of more updating that I can give you until Raven's ready to go into surgery, and that could take a couple days. I don't have any witty words, and I don't have any tie-ups or wrap-it-ups. I said this video wasn't going to be long, and I'm long. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you the coolest story ever, because I've told everybody the coolest story ever that's been here. And I feel like if you've made it this far, great, watch it. If you don't, that's my update, and there's where we are. So Raven came in the first night. I want to stress to you that Raven's head, within the first 30 minutes, this wasn't like something that we could induce a coma on. This wasn't something that time could fix. This was very quickly understood. However, when we first brought her in, she was breathing on her own, but she spent too much time on breathing, to focus on breathing, than to focus on her head. So we put her on a ventilator so that we could take care of her breathing, so that maybe she could focus more on her head. At about 9 o'clock that night, I had told people previously that if you're at 20 on your brain pressure, they're worried. It's not good. However, Raven was at 94. About 9 o'clock, she had a really bad episode, and I watched that monitor go from 94, where I was already praying for 70 points to go down, spiked to 170. And doctors later told me that that's when her brain died. There's always a moment where you lose your life, and we think that's it. They think that's it. Everybody pretty much understands that was it. Previously, though, I could talk to her. Hey, Raven, we're going to do some really big work. I mean, it's going to take it's going to take pretty much all we have, but we're going to work really hard. And I'm going to ask you just to give me what you can give me. Nothing more. I have no expectations for you. Just really work really hard so that I know that you're giving me all you can give me. And she could blink. She could, her eyes would move. 2 tears would run down her face whenever I would say things like that. After 9 o'clock, I covered in the first video, I never got another response. We never, any physical, subconscious, we didn't know, but our body does it anyways, response to anything. However, I didn't know that at the time, hindsight. All night long, I was watching negative blood flow and a super high brain pressure. Clinging to hope, praying for the same miracle that you all are praying for and have been. And so if somebody would come in to the room, if they were panicky or anxious or just their energy was off, which is normal. Her brain pressure would spike. It would just, it would go in the wrong direction so fast. I watched it get to like 112, 118, and I would say simple things. Hey, let's take a nap. We're in bed together. We were in bed together. We're in bed together. Let's go to sleep. And her number would drop back to where it was in her version of her relaxed number. And so I knew she could hear me. I knew she could hear me. And the next day, when we were talking to doctors and practitioners and surgeons and therapists and all that kind of stuff, they did tell me that we lost her brain function at 9 o'clock when it spiked, and it died. It was over at 9 o'clock. I asked doctors, but I could still change her numbers. I didn't understand how all night long I could say one line and her brain pressure would go down. Here's the coolest part for me, and I cry every time I tell it, and I'll probably cry the rest of my life telling it, but they said that wasn't Raven's conscious effort to listen to you. However, at that point, her cells, her chemical reactions, down to her very inmost physical being, her cells react to me. Her body reacts to me on the most basic level. My voice affected my daughter's cells. I can direct and lead my daughter on the most basic level, with my most basic level, because, as they said, your body made that body, and that body knows that body. I told people earlier that I am a faith follower and a science fan. And that was the coolest thing that I have ever heard. That level of what a mom is amazing to me. And so I love telling that story. I love thinking about that story, though it probably doesn't look like it. Because now I want every single mother, when you look at your kid, to know that you have that level of control, essentially, over what you grew and what you birthed and what you get to spend your life with. My daughter is gone. I hold her body. I sleep next to her body, and will until she's ready to go into surgery. And I can update you as we go on, where we are on surgery. But as far as Raven, my Raven, that's the last really update I can give you. I love how many people are praying for a miracle. I believe in a God who performs miracles. We prayed for a miracle, and what we got was a miracle, and I want you to understand that. There are families who are probably on their knees right now for a miracle of a heart, a miracle for lungs or eyes. And Raven is the miracle, and they're fixing to find out about it. So as a community and as a family, I want you to know, and I want you to know that I believe that we got it. We got her. We got the miracle that we prayed for. I'm sorry I messed up, and I'm sorry that this turned out to be a long video, which I probably promised wouldn't be. Keep praying. I keep praying, and I'll let you know as we go what we're looking at as far as organ donation. Thank you so much.